On January 27, 1945, Captain Teruhiko Kobayashi, a skilled Japanese fighter pilot, found himself in a desperate situation. He was flying a Kai-61 Hien fighter, a formidable aircraft, against a B-29 Superfortress. In a daring maneuver, he made contact with the B-29 at 400 miles per hour. Remarkably, he survived, parachuting to safety and returning to Chofu Air Base, ready to fly again the next morning. For nearly 3 months, Kobayashi, commander of the elite 244th Sentai, had been trying to understand the secret behind the B-29's incredible resilience. His unit, tasked with defending Tokyo, comprised Japan's finest pilots and their most capable fighters. Yet, it wasn't enough. On the night of March 9, 1945, amidst a sky illuminated by the city below, he would finally grasp the B-29's revolutionary advantage. By March 1945, the Strategic Air Campaign had reached a critical turning point. American forces, operating from the Mariana Islands, Guam, Saipan, and Tinian, brought Tokyo within range of the B-29 Superfortress. This aircraft was a marvel of engineering. A maximum speed of 357 miles per hour, a service ceiling of 31,850 feet, a range of 3,250 miles, and a bomb load of 20,000 pounds. But its most groundbreaking feature wasn't its size or range. It was its defensive armament system. Previous American bombers like the B-17 Flying Fortress and B-24 Liberator relied on manned gun turrets. Gunners were exposed, cramped, and manually aimed their .50 caliber machine guns. This system had limitations. Each gunner covered only one sector, coordination was difficult, and high altitudes brought challenges like cold, hypoxia, and fatigue. The B-29 was different, and Teruhiko Kobayashi was about to discover just how. Kobayashi, who began the war as a bomber pilot and flew in the attack on Hong Kong in December 1941, had retrained as a fighter pilot by late 1944. At just 24, he became the youngest Sentai commander in the Army Air Force, leading the 244th with the sole purpose of defending Tokyo. By October 1944, his unit had around 40 Ki-61 Hien fighters and had spent months rigorously training to intercept B-29s. They practiced high-altitude night flying, studied B-29 attack profiles, defensive blind spots, and gun coverage arcs. They were, by all accounts, as prepared as any Japanese fighter unit could be. On December 3rd, Kobayashi achieved his first B-29 interception. That day, the 244th successfully engaged several bombers. The newspapers celebrated, and Kobayashi's face appeared on front pages across Japan. What wasn't reported was Kobayashi's growing understanding. Conventional attacks were proving incredibly difficult. The B-29's defensive fire was faster, more coordinated, and more accurate than anything human gunners should have been able to achieve. There was clearly something else at play. March 9, 1945, 11:47 p.m. Kobayashi pushed his Kai-61 Hien to its maximum climb rate over Tokyo Bay. His radio crackled with urgent orders. 300 American B-29 Superfortresses were approaching from the south at an altitude of 7,000 feet and a speed of 230 miles per hour. He had 15 minutes to intercept. Kobayashi had flown dozens of missions against American bombers, knowing the B-29's reputation as the invincible fortress. But tonight, something was different. The Americans were flying low, much lower than usual, less than a quarter of their normal bombing altitude. At this height, Japanese fighters could maintain speed and maneuverability, giving Kobayashi a real chance to close to firing range for the first time in months. He didn't know that what he was about to experience would finally reveal the B-29's secret. At 11:58 p.m., Kobayashi spotted the first B-29s, dark silhouettes against the lighter sky, flying in a loose formation that stretched for miles at 7,000 feet. He positioned his Ki-61 3 miles ahead, climbing to 8,000 feet. His plan was standard head-on tactics. Dive through the formation, fire a burst at the lead bomber, then pull up and away before the defensive guns could track him. The 244th had practiced this hundreds of times. At 1 mile distance, he rolled inverted and pulled into a steep dive, accelerating to 400 miles per hour. The lead B-29 grew larger in his gun sight. 4 massive engines, the distinctive high tail. At 800 yards, he pressed the firing button. Then, something unprecedented happened. The B-29's defensive fire didn't come from a single turret. It came from everywhere at once. Streams of tracers converged on his fighter from the top, bottom, and both sides simultaneously. The sheer volume of fire was 3 times heavier than anything he had encountered in months of combat. Kobayashi broke left, pulling 6 Gs. The tracers followed him through the turn. He heard impacts, metallic clangs, as rounds struck his tail and left wing. He had been in range for less than 3 seconds, yet in that brief time, the B-29 had unleashed more rounds than an entire formation of B-17s. As Kobayashi pulled away, he watched other pilots attempt their runs. Each time, the result was the same: a brief burst of cannon fire followed by overwhelming coordinated fire from multiple turrets simultaneously. Attackers either broke away or were overwhelmed. One of his pilots pressed his attack too close. Tracers from 3 different B-29 turrets converged on the Ki-61 at once, and the fighter was engulfed. That's when Kobayashi understood. The B-29's guns weren't being aimed by individual gunners. They were controlled by a central system, a system that coordinated all defensive positions simultaneously. When one gunner acquired a target, other turrets automatically tracked the same fighter. The system calculated lead angles and firing solutions faster than any human gunner could. This explained everything: the impossible tracking speed, the coordinated fire from multiple positions, the accuracy at long range, and the way the guns followed an evasion maneuver as if they already knew where the fighter was going. The B-29 wasn't defended by individual gunners. It was defended by a computer. The B-29's gunners sat inside the pressurized fuselage, operating sighting stations that controlled unmanned turrets mounted on the aircraft's exterior. They weren't exposed to the elements or limited by physical position, and they could control multiple turrets simultaneously. This system gave American gunners 3 critical advantages. First, visibility. Gunners used optical sights with magnification, allowing them to acquire targets at 1,000 yards, well beyond the effective range of Japanese 20mm cannons. Second, coordination. The fire control officer could direct all turrets to engage priority targets. If a fighter attacked from the front, both forward turrets tracked it automatically. If it broke away, the rear turrets took over. There were no gaps in coverage. Third, computational accuracy. Analog computers calculated ballistic trajectories based on target range, airspeed, altitude, and angular velocity. They adjusted for parallax, compensated for the bomber's own movement, and calculated lead angles that accounted for bullet travel time. A human gunner estimated these factors. The B-29's computer calculated them with mathematical precision. Every tactic the 244th had developed against B-17s and B-24s was obsolete against the B-29's central fire control system. Those tactics were not just difficult, they were incredibly dangerous. At 12:14 a.m., the first B-29s began dropping their payloads. These were M69 incendiary clusters, each containing 47 6-pound napalm bomblets designed to ignite Tokyo's wooden buildings. The city below erupted in flames. Kobayashi could see the fires spreading from altitude, block by block, district by district. The Americans weren't targeting military installations, they were targeting the city itself. He pushed his Ki-61 into another attack run, approaching from below and behind, the one angle where the lower rear turret had limited traverse. He fired at 300 yards, saw impacts. Then, the lower rear turret rotated toward him. Rounds tore through his left wing, damaging the aileron and puncturing the fuel tank. He broke right, rolled inverted, and dove away. He had been in range for less than 2 seconds. That night, 334 B-29s dropped 1,665 tons of incendiary bombs on Tokyo. The resulting firestorm devastated 16 square miles of the city, an area larger than the combined destruction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. 4 months later, Japanese air defenses were still struggling. The numbers told the story. The B-29's central fire control system had fundamentally changed the balance of air combat. Japanese fighters, designed to engage bombers with limited defensive fire, could not effectively counter computer-directed turrets that tracked multiple targets simultaneously. In the weeks following March 9th, Japanese air commanders tried everything: night attacks, mass formations, more daring ramming attacks. Nothing worked. Japanese engineers understood the problem. They could see exactly what General Electric had built between 1940 and 1943. The combination of analog computers, remote-controlled turrets, and coordinated fire control into an integrated defensive network. They understood it, but they could not replicate it. By 1945, Japan lacked the industrial capacity, the raw materials, the precision manufacturing, and the time to develop equivalent systems. The technological gap had become unbridgeable, not because Japanese engineers were inferior, but because American industrial production was operating on a scale that Japan's entire war economy could not match. The courage was not the problem. The factories were the problem. By August 1945, American B-29s had dropped 160,000 tons of bombs on Japanese cities, flying with remarkable effectiveness despite desperate resistance. Teruhiko Kobayashi survived the war, credited with more than 10 B-29s engaged. He had even made contact with a B-29 at 400 miles per hour and lived. In 1954, he joined the newly created Japan Air Self-Defense Force and flew jets. He had outlasted the war, but he had not outlasted the technology. The B-29's central fire control system influenced everything that followed. The concept of remote weapon stations, now standard on unmanned aerial vehicles, originated with the B-29's remote turrets. Modern military aircraft use computer-assisted targeting systems descended directly from the analog fire control computers Kobayashi flew against over Tokyo. Integration matters more than individual components. The B-29's .50 caliber machine guns were not inherently more powerful than Japanese 20mm cannons, but integrated into a computer-controlled network, they became far more effective than any manually aimed weapon. Kobayashi understood this on the night of March 9, 1945, flying through a sky full of burning city, watching the tracers converge on his fighter from every direction at once. He understood it perfectly. It was already too late.